I wanted to take a look at TLT stock. We've seen some big moves higher in treasury yields. This pulled down TLT stock. How much more is there for this move? Last week, we've got the PCE price index, which showed inflation's remaining a little loftier than the market is anticipating, making it so that the Federal Reserve is likely to hold off on lowering interest rates. We've got non-farm payrolls on Friday. This will be a big number, but the thing is, I think it's going to be a soft number. I don't necessarily see a big number coming in. Where's the catalyst for that? What's going to continue to drive this economy forward? Throughout the remainder of summer, this of course being March, we've got a couple months left, but I've been saying that I think we're going to see the stock market kind of falter a little bit and mellow out at these levels, stay here without any real catalyst. But we're going to see rates of growth decline in the GDP and employment gains. This could propel the Federal Reserve to start lowering interest rates in itself. This will affect, of course, TLT stock. I think at these prices with TLT stock, you could go ahead and start buying, which is what I'm doing, but I am using some options. Right now, I'm doing some short-term selling of puts under the price for TLT stock. Let me jump in. I'll show you what I'm looking at, the charts, and break things down as to what I think will happen with TLT stock. Let's jump in. Thanks so much for stopping by the channel. I took a couple weeks off. I had a bunch of things going on in the background that have just been lingering for a really long time, and I need to take a little bit of time off and just focus on that. In the meantime, my website, I am shutting that down, and I'm actually moving to Substack. I'm done with having my own website. It is an absolute nightmare. There is a link down below for my followers who've been following me for some time. There's two types of emails. There's a free email you're more than welcome to sign up for. That free email will be based on, say, economic data and how the economic data would move the stock market. So for those who have been following me for some time, that's going to be down. That link's down there below. I am importing everything into Substack. Substack kind of sucks, putting it mildly. So it's going to take some time. Their little bells and whistles and all their buttons don't really work. So I have to do this manually. It will take time. I will import all my emails from before. So anybody who was a subscriber to my website, that will all get imported in. Let's get started. Let's jump in. Here's a look at the U.S. 10-year Treasury yield. Yields moved up again, second day. We got the economic data, PCE deflator came out along with personal consumption expenditures and personal incomes on Thursday, just before a 3-day weekend. Massive yawn. No one seemed to care. They had already gone on vacation. Monday rolls around. We've seen this happen before. Whenever there is an economic release, nothing really might happen on Thursday or Friday in the case of a normal weekend. And then all of a sudden, Monday rolls around. Oh, wait, did you see the data? Let's sell. Prices for Treasury yields have fallen. You're looking at the chart here. This is the one-day chart for Treasury yield. This is just yield. Let's move forward, and I'm going to show you what the actual 10-year Treasury as it's traded looks like. And I'll put these charts side by side for it so you can look at this. This would be more of what TLT looks like. And you really don't necessarily need to see this too much, but let's move forward to TLT, and you can see that there is sort of a correlation between the 10-year price and TLT stock. Now, TLT, of course, trades off the 20 and 30. I divert straight to the 10-year. That's the benchmark investment metric for me, and I'm always looking at the 10-year. The longer dates or the shorter dates are kind of in line with all that what's going on there. I don't see TLT dropping below 90. In fact, non-farm payrolls, we've seen a couple the past, like, say 4, 5, 6 months, and I've got that chart here in just a second. They've really not been too robust. Keep this in mind. We're at 3.7% unemployment rate. Where do we get robust growth in employment numbers at this point? There's no real catalyst that's going to spur that at this time. But that we are already at what would be considered full employment. In fact, we're beyond the number that we would consider rationally being full employment. So I don't really see these numbers coming in too robust over the course of, say, the next 5 months for employment numbers. Given that, we'll probably see some relief in the bond yields. Bond yields will probably come down on Friday. Given that, TLT stock, I'm selling puts underneath. I don't think they're going to hit. I'm looking at about a 10-day put that I'm selling underneath, expiration next Friday. So I'm looking for a little bit of premium and time decay and a move in my favor. From that, I'll probably get out of the market on Friday once we see those numbers. Regardless, moving forward, looking at the bigger picture. Now, if you've been following me for some period of time, of course, last fall, I put out my 2024 stock market prediction, where I basically said I felt that the stock market was going to continue to rally all through the beginning part of the year, sort of park for the summertime, and then we'd see a sell-off going into fall and into winter toward the end of 2024. The reason is I think that we're just basically going to burn out, that there's not enough of a rate of growth from employment numbers and personal income growth rates, which would convert into expenditures by consumers, which would turn into revenue for companies. So if the rate of growth starts to soften, what will happen is we've been chasing yield at this point. Some of these stock prices are so high relative to, say, the benchmark 10-year treasury yield that there isn't much juice left. So all of a sudden, if you start to see the rate of growth in revenue decline, all of a sudden, individuals are going to be hitting the sell button. Microsoft stock. I'm doing a video on them here as soon as I'm done with this video. That's one that's sub 3%, regardless of the fact that they are one of the premier companies. That what's happened is MSFT stock has been pushed so high relative because of chasing yield. Well, what happens if that yield starts to decline? That's what I'm looking at when it comes to TLT stock. Here's a look at non-farm payrolls. I don't think we hit 200. I think we remain sort of maybe between 150 to 200, call it 175. Right around in that range, that there's really nothing that's going to push employment too much higher. Remember, we're at 3.7% unemployment rate. Here's a look at the civilian labor force, flatline. There's no growth in the civilian labor force. And the civilian labor force is the number of people who they consider, or the government considers, is in the labor pool. So your stay-at-home girlfriends aren't going to count simply because they don't want jobs. Okay, fine. You have individuals who just simply don't want jobs, or they've been out of the payroll system for so long, the government just doesn't count them. Given that, the number of unemployed, we did see a jump last month a little bit higher, but I expect that'll probably soften. Civilian labor force itself, I expect remains flat. Given that, any kind of moves lower in number of unemployed would show an unemployment number that moves slightly higher. We're at 3.7%. There's really no catalyst at this point to really drive further employment gains. Because of that, the number this Friday likely to be softer than expected. Because of that, bond yields will soften, and my TLT stock, if I sell those puts underneath, I've sold a small amount this morning. I'm looking to get in over the course of the next 2 days, trying to figure out what's, and I'm not putting all my positions in at one time. I'll probably spread it out over Wednesday and Thursday prior to Friday's release. Going into Friday's release, I'm looking for the softer number. TLT stock will pop back upward. I'll probably take profits right away on at least half of my positions. Make sure to hit the like and follow button. I put a link to my Substack page down below in the description. If you wanted the free email, certainly by all means. It's you're getting written content on economic indicators and the stock market, my usual content, and then value investing for individual stocks. Hit those like and follow buttons. Follow the link to Substack. We'll see you in the next video.